If you're looking on screen at the status report, it says, and I quote, defendants will continue processing loan cancellations for borrowers who are eligible for cancellation under the income-based repayment plan, end quote. This means the Department of Education is formally agreeing that they will start the process of forgiving federal student loans for people who are eligible under the income-based repayment plan. We're going to come back to number 5 and go to number 6 because it's connected to that most recent point. It says, and I quote, defendants will continue processing loan cancellations for borrowers who are eligible for cancellation under the original income contingent repayment plan and the pay-as-you-earn plans as long as these plans are in effect, end quote. What this means is the Department of Education is stepping off and stepping back from their stance that they will only forgive student loans that are eligible and transfer to the income-based repayment plan. And they're saying, even though we're phasing out the pay-as-you-earn plan and income contingent repayment plan options, if you remain on those plans and you meet the benchmark for forgiveness, we will forgive under those plans directly. You no longer have to transfer over to IBR to have your loans wiped away. This is a big deal, and it saves people on those plans the extra step of meeting that benchmark, but then having to worry about going over to that new plan, making sure your payment amounts, your credit amounts are transferred properly. You no longer have to do that. The department will forgive them right where they stand. Now we can go back up to number 5, and it says, and I quote, defendants will not deny as ineligible any borrower applying for the IBR plan on the ground that the borrower lacks a partial financial hardship. Jumping down, it says defendants affirm and will state on studentaid.gov that borrowers who applied for the IBR plan on or after July 4th, 2025 and were denied on the basis that they lacked a partial financial hardship are invited to reapply, end quote. This is the Department of Education saying, hey, we agree that we were supposed to remove the partial financial hardship. We also agree that our systems were not updated and we incorrectly denied people who were trying to get on IBR because they didn't have a partial financial hardship. They're saying, hey, that was our bad. We're updating our systems. And if there was anybody who tried to get on that plan on or after July 4th, 2025 and was turned away, we're formally inviting them to reapply. Going to number 7, it says defendants will continue processing applications for public service loan forgiveness buybacks. This is a big deal. The Department of Education has been processing PSLF buyback applications, but at a snail's pace. But in my opinion, anything that's in paper and submitted to the court that is not the department like arguing that PSLF buybacks shouldn't exist is a win, right? It's just further codifying the fact that this very unique program is not currently under attack by the current administration. So this is something that's a real positive. Going to number 8, and this is very important when it comes to the taxation of federal student loans that could be forgiven sometime in 2025 or after 2025 when it would then be taxable. It says, and I quote, defendants agree that for their internal purposes, the date a borrower becomes eligible to have their loans canceled under the IBR, ICR, or pay plans constitutes the effective date of their loan discharge. Going down to subpoint A, says defendants agree not to file an Internal Revenue Service Form 1099-C for a borrower who becomes eligible for discharge in 2025 if the conditions in IRS Notice 2022-1 are met, end quote. What does this mean? It means that the department is acknowledging that there are some people who have met the threshold for having their student loans forgiven that might not formally have their loans wiped away until 2026 or beyond. And they're saying that for their purposes, they're going to consider your loans forgiven at the date that you met the threshold, not when they're actually wiped away. And to further solidify that agreement, they're saying if your loans were due to be wiped away in 2025, but we don't wipe them away until after that point, we're going to consider that the date and we're not even going to file a 1099 with the IRS, which basically means we're not even going to inform the IRS that the debt was wiped away. So they wouldn't even have any knowledge or information they can use to send you a tax bill for those loans because they wouldn't be aware that it occurred. This is a huge deal. It takes away the concern for people who have been waiting for months and months, fretting over whether their loans will be formally wiped away in time to not have to owe taxes.